Hi, loves. Welcome to the AW Confidential podcast. Today, I am joined by a woman whose heart is as huge as her sense of humor. Nikki Boyer is the executive producer of Hulu's Dying for Sex, a hit series starring Michelle Williams. She is also the host of one of my absolute favorite podcasts, other than my own, of course, the award winning Dying for Sex podcast. And if you have not listened to it, it's 6 episodes. It's so worth it. So worth it. In this podcast, she chronicles the unforgettable, courageous, and wildly sexy journey of her best friend, Molly, who explored life and love before her passing of from cancer. But she lived in that short span of time from when she got her diagnosis to the end. She lived more like more full than most people I know. She truly lived life. Nikki isn't just a storyteller. She is a firecracker, a truth teller like myself, and the kind of friend we all wish we had. Get ready for a crazy, hilarious, but beautiful ride. Let's dive in. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
Hi,
Oh
Mama.
my God, I
You all,
missed you. I
I
missed you, but
know.
I stalk you. I find you on
Thank
social. I
you.
stalk you. I find you. I always see your clips on TikTok and social. So I kind of feel like I've seen you a lot. So it's
See,
nice.
we've known each other for a minute, and I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you're always with me. And you were so supportive early on of the podcast, and now we are full circle after the TV show
I
came out. It's been years, my
know.
love. We have been in each other's lives for like what, 5 years now?
About, I know it's
Crazy.
crazy, and you've always been so encouraging. And even when I wanted to quit, you're like, no, you keep going. And I appreciate you. I love you for that. You really
Oh,
are a champion. So thank you.
of course. Yeah, same.
So I watched the show in
Yeah,
24 hours. I
you
binged
did?
the entire
You went for it.
I did. And I couldn't get enough because I know the book. And a lot of people, I've actually told my friends there's a book. A lot of people don't know there's a book. There's the book, there's the podcast. We've done interviews.
Hmm.
And it's interesting, right? Because I find that the love story is you and Molly to
I
me.
love that. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And
It's a true female friendship love story, like a deep one. Yeah.
yeah. And you and Molly had this kind of ride or die friendship, which I loved. And seeing it on screen was just so beautiful because it brought us in. You know, it's one thing when you read it, you hear about it, you hear it on the podcast, but
Hmm.
this was different. You
Yeah.
saw it, it really came to life. And people write songs about this type of friendship. I
Oh,
mean, the wind beneath my wings.
right. Oh,
Do I
that
need to say
movie.
more? I know,
No,
I
you
know.
don't. I get it.
And the interesting thing is that you could write songs about the friendship, but you can also write a few warning labels with it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
100%.
So if you could sum up your bond, I just tried with her, with Molly, in one complete, inappropriate, hilarious sentence, what would it be?
Ooh. Oh, this is so easy. She thought all the fucked up shit that I did was magnificent.
Oh, that's a friend.
She
Oh
real
my
Exactly.
God.
Like
Oh,
I
I
used to do
love
the
it.
stupidest stuff and say
But
the
you're
dumbest thing, and she would be like, "That's great," and I'd be like, "What?" She'd be like, "Go, just get it," and I was like, "Thank you." So yeah, she would make me feel like the most fucked up stuff that I would do was just wonderful and magnificent. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that see,
know.
that's ride or die. Now, the series and the podcast put me at, you know this. It's put me through so many emotions.
Yeah,
I figured, okay, I know the story. I'll be
yeah,
okay.
mm,
I watched it in 24 hours. I laughed, I cried, I pondered life,
yeah,
and at the end I got closure. And a lot of people in the community know that I lost my mom 2 years ago.
yeah.
The death doula.
Right. Hospice nurse Amy. I mean, come on, right?
It was but I felt that it just brought everything together,
Yeah.
and it was you know, death is sad because you don't physically see that person anymore. But in a way, you made it all so beautiful. The
Mm,
way it came together, it didn't feel sad because someone passed. It was almost like this becoming. She became
mm.
something else, you
That's
know?
such a good way of putting it.
That's how I see my mom. So,
She became, yeah. Well, I
yeah,
think we go home. And I'm
yeah.
not religious at all. I don't,
Neither am
I'm
I.
not going to do that like, we go to the arms of God. Like, no, no, we don't know. And people that are like, I know it happens. I'm like, no, you don't. Our tiny little human brains could never really fully understand probably what is out there, if there's anything out there. But what I do know is it felt like walking her home and taking her back to the most authentic version of herself, her soul,
Mm.
wherever that lies and wherever that exists. But it did feel like walking her home for sure.
Why was it like, why did you feel it was so important to bring this to the screen? You could have just not included that. Why did you?
Well, that's a great question because it's really funny. I never really, first time in my career, I didn't play the tape forward and I didn't think about outcome. I didn't think about how we were going to do it or what we were going to do it. I was just in the story and doing it. And it's the first time I've ever done anything quite like that. Because usually I'm like on the outside of it, controlling myself, watching, directing, producing. And I just felt like I was in storyteller mode. So the choice to take it there was really my showrunners, to be honest, because we Molly and I created the podcast, and then when Liz Merriweather and Kim Rosenstock, who are my writers and showrunners and my team of writers, wanted to bring this to life, they said, will you give us all the information and give us everything that we need? And then will you trust us to, I mean, they never verbatim said that to me, but it was like there was this exchange of a spiritual trust of like, we got you. We're going to do this in the most beautiful way possible. Try to keep it as close to the truth, but also taking tons of liberties as they should, because art should always be growing and building upon itself. And I just felt like they nailed it. All the messy parts, all the beautiful parts, all the heartfelt parts, I feel like they really got me and Molly. And so I felt very lucky for it to be as a television series. It's like a dream come true, but I never really, really thought that far ahead because I was so in it with Molly. And I think that's a good lesson is the story has to be king. The story has to be queen. It has to be your North Star. It can't be outcome. It has to be just a place of sharing. And I've never done anything like that before. So it was new for me.
Wow. So when you were in this process, you weren't thinking about, well, I want the audience to feel this. You didn't think
No, isn't
about,
that crazy? No.
wow. That
I
was
know
one of
my
my questions.
really oh
Yeah.
really? One of my
Yeah.
I know my writers did. I know my producers did. I know they did, right? Because they were actually putting the words to the page. Uh but I didn't. I know I wouldn't have a profound
Wow.
answer and be like, yes, I was very thoughtful. It was just, I just trusted. I just knew somehow that this was just going to land in the way that it was supposed to land. And when I saw the rough cuts and they would send me like the rough cuts of the episodes, I would have a complete cathartic, emotional grief experience. And then I'd move on to the next episode. So it was like I got a little piece of her. I got pieces of her throughout this. Yeah.
And that must have been draining for you too.
Oh my gosh, the crying that I did after each episode was like the kind you do at a funeral where you're like, I
I
can't.
In the
Yeah.
last episode of the podcast, I remember it was like 2 a.m. I was like, I have to finish this.
Oh,
I
really?
cried my eyes out.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, I knew what
Right.
was gonna happen.
I know.
No, I was literally on my couch crying,
Oh,
crying, crying.
didn't it
It
just
was just
tap into something? My friend, who is this lovely human, texted me after he watched it and he said, I saw myself in everyone and every character was in me. I feel like we held up a mirror and I can't take the credit for that because I lived the story, but I didn't orchestrate it and write it. And that's where my this amazing team brought it to life in a way that was like the death scene of my sweet, sweet Molly was so, I loved how simple it was. It was like it wasn't a moment where she takes her last breath and the music swells and
Right.
it was just, as you
Peaceful.
know, peaceful and a slice of life because death is part of life. And I think they really captured that.
They did. And I don't know, it just felt like it gave me peace, you
Did.
know?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, not doing this.
yeah.
So thank you for that
Yeah.
because I didn't expect the death doula and I didn't expect the conversations and the emotions and it was so in depth. Like it was not just a scene, it was more. It was
Right.
emotion.
Oh,
It was different.
I love that you got that out of it. I
So
love
thank
it.
you.
And oh my gosh, I think, I just keep thanking Molly. I'm like, I always think her tiny little life made such a huge impact on people. And she was just living how she wanted to in the moments moment to moment, changing her mind when she wanted to, exploring when she wanted to, shutting down when she wanted to, but doing it all very mindfully. And she died the same way. And I just really learned a lot from her and from watching it back. Like, you're right. When I watched it back, just so you know, I had the same reaction that you did.
Oh wow.
I was able to separate myself a little bit and just absorb it as a piece of art and also feel it very, very deeply. And I'm so grateful that everybody's cracked wide open for this show. I'm so
Well, thank
grateful.
you for sharing it with us. It's a gift.
Thanks.
So you know that of course I'm gonna be inappropriate because
Oh, well,
why not?
be really pissed off if you weren't. I'd be like, what are we doing?
So there was a lot of unexpected for me, like the dog. Uh,
Oh, my
uh,
pet, that episode.
what the fuck? That is the only way. So there were a lot of sexcapades, sex
Yep.
adventures, but it wasn't Molly just dating. It was exploring. It
Yeah.
was living. And that's why I loved it. And I had this conversation with someone. So someone said to me, I said, "Oh, have you seen Dying for Sex, the series?" And they're like,
Mhm.
"No, not yet. I have it in my queue." But when I this is the person relaying this to me. She says, "Well, it just looks like, a woman is diagnosed and then she goes on a spree, having sex." I said, "No,
Mhm.
that's actually far from what the experience is."
Yeah.
I said, when you watch it, it all comes together. It's her life, it's her exploring what she likes, what she doesn't like,
Mhm.
who she is, what pleasure means for her. So
Yeah.
there is so much more. And so it wasn't just her dating, it wasn't just her trying to find love, even.
Right.
That was kind of a result of her exploration.
Yeah, exactly.
So, was there because there are a lot of stories and I'm not going to give them all away, but was there a moment when you thought, "Oh my god, I can't believe she did that." Like as you were
Yes. Oh my gosh, many. Are you kidding? I like to
wait,
present myself as being like this really cool, laid back chick, but she'd tell me stuff and I'd be like, "What? Why? What?"
wait, the scene with the credit card and
Oh my
the
God, right?
porn was like, "What the fuck?" I said these two must be really good friends cuz I was
Right?
like, "What is
I
going on?"
know. I know.
But so, what was that one jaw-dropping moment for you?
I'm not going to tell you the details.
Oh, damn,
I
come
can't.
on!
No, it's too, honestly, it is. You know what? I'll tell you off the air. I cannot tell
Okay,
you on the air.
you can tell me off the air.
But so I'm going to give you an example. Okay. It wasn't gross or like nasty or dirty, but it was just a combination.
Because we saw a golden shower.
Oh, that's nothing compared to this. This story was a combination of a relationship, meaning, oh God, how do I do this? Molly was asked by a certain guy to watch him do a certain thing with a certain person
Okay.
that was jaw dropping,
Oh, shit.
honestly. Not
Damn.
not like abusive or hurtful. Well, anyway, it was so intense. And so I said to her, "Well, you think this is insane, right?" And she said, "Absolutely, but I'm not going to judge this because most people's fetishes and what they enjoy is shouldn't be shrouded in shame as long as no one's getting hurt and there's always consent involved. But it's usually from a place of pain. There's usually some trauma or something that can lead to your sexual awakening. And I think what for her, when she was, a little bit of a trigger warning here, she was abused as a little girl sexually. And I think that well, I don't think this, I know this because she told me and she wrote it in her book that it split her. Like something split off in her to where sex and sexual desires became something that she just didn't want to deal with or talk about. So when she got her terminal diagnosis, there was like an awakening that happened in her from way back in the day, from when she was very young, of like, wait a minute, I didn't get to do all those things for a first time. I didn't get to fuck around. I didn't get to go out and just have so much fun with my body. And now my body's falling apart, but I have this weird amount of energy. Like, I want to do this. So my point in this really long story, I'm sorry, but it was like she didn't ever make anyone feel shame about what their kinks and fetishes were because she was figuring out her own. And she always met them in the middle and she always made them feel heard and seen. And I learned a lot from that. But there was some shit that I was like, what? Wait, why? What? And then she'd be like, hold on, back it up, like give it a minute. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd hear her out, and then it would oddly somehow make sense to me.
Mm.
Crazy. But yes, there were tickle
Wow.
fetishes. There was a guy who dressed as a clown, the guy who wanted to be treated as his pet, as her pet. There was a guy that wanted to be held in a crate in her house.
I don't think I saw that. That
No,
wasn't a
no, that was just between us. I
the
told you. So there's something, a little nugget. But he was like, just crate me and feed me and water me.
what?
And she was like, I don't think I have the energy. I don't have energy for a real dog, much less a human dog. But people's kinks and fetishes come from everywhere. And so I think in this show, we tried to
The
really get rid of the shame, right?
the guy who wanted to beat the shit out of him, which I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like,
Kick him
wait,
in the
what?
nuts, right? Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds painful to me,
Yeah.
but hey, if
Yeah.
it turns you on,
Yeah.
that's why we
Right.
have S&M.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh my God.
So, watching Dime for Sex, like you saw this podcast, this story come to life with the powerhouse Michelle Williams playing Molly and Jenny Slate, which she's amazing playing you. That
Love
was
her.
weird to watch because I was like, wait, I know Nikki. That's so funny. I didn't know
But
that. Oh, what? Wait. So that was interesting for me.
mhm,
But their chemistry was amazing. What was it like for you to
mhm.
see Michelle play your best friend and, Jenny play you? Like that must have been surreal.
It it felt right. I don't know. I
Wow.
kept waiting for things to feel uncomfortable because that's life.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it just never did. When I met Michelle, she gave me this hug and it was so like she enveloped me into her body. And I just remember thinking, oh, this feels really right. And then I watched her do that scene that day. And it's where she's holding the cane and she like stomps the cane and pretends that that's part of her sex play when really it's a part of her broken hip from and her broken femur from the cancer. And she's going back and forth with this great actor, Zach. And they have a tiny little scene when they talk about boundaries and what they can and can't do. And they have a real open consent conversation, which I thought was great. But that's the day that I met Michelle. And I remember thinking, how is
Wow.
she doing this? How is she moving her mouth the way that Molly does? How is she moving her shoulders and her head? And how is she like embodying her so much? And I just remember thinking, God, this feels so much like her. But also, she wasn't doing a caricature or like a character study. She was just taking on the story and becoming her version of Molly, which felt very appropriate and really beautiful to me. And then I just got to watch
It's
her. Watching her work was amazing.
but it's funny you say that because I was going to say, and I never met Molly, but you've spoken a lot about her.
Yeah.
It's almost like Michelle captured that wild, beautiful spirit.
Yeah. It was.
That's what it felt like. I was like, if Molly would be here today, that it just feels like she embodied her, which is insane because
Mhm.
I mean, obviously they didn't know each
Well,
other,
it
but
just shows
how do
you the
you do
work.
that?
I think she just worked, like, she loved the script. She loved the podcast. She listened to it and said she was changed by it. And really, I think she fell in love with Molly. And I think she also opened herself up to whatever like energy or communicate. I don't know. I don't want to speak for her, but I know she was
Ah.
open to that thing that we all do
Mhm.
when people cross over. And I think she just immersed herself in the work. I mean, she worked so hard. I mean, she's just a brilliant actress and she just dives into it head first. And
I
it was really cool to watch that in real time.
I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Did anything floor you emotionally as you were going through this process?
It was the two scenes that were oddly closest to real life that floored me. It was the one scene of me in the room with her when Molly was intubated and they took out the tube and we didn't know if she was going to breathe. I think when trauma like that happens to you, you kind of you're aware of it, but you kind of park it in the back of your brain. And to see it again, I was like, oh my gosh, we went through that. And there was so much humor because Molly then literally said to the guy via writing on a pad of paper, "Do you have a permission slip from your parents to be here?" Because the doctor was so young.
Or
Like
that
that
was
was so
hysterical.
accurate, right? That was so, and that's what I love about this show is that right when it pushes you to the edge of anxiety or stress or sadness or fear, it'll just take the air out of the balloon and make you laugh. And that's exactly what Molly did. And our writers just, oh my God, they were so good. They captured it so beautifully. That scene kind of floored me. And then the bathtub scene where we were giving her her final bath, because that was based on truth as well. And so to be able to watch it and just sit with it and just observe it as opposed to being the person that was giving the bath, I just was able to kind of see it from a different point of view. And I was a disaster crying, and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" But I really was okay because I felt like I was finding a new layer of grief that needs to be expressed, right?
Yeah, that scene, the bath,
Yeah.
that was when I think about love, I think about the love I have for my daughter. I think about
Yeah.
romantic love, but that's love.
Yeah.
And you guys were you guys are very lucky you lived that because most
Thank,
people go their entire life and don't find that friendship. So
yeah.
that was beautiful.
Thanks
I'm
for
glad you
saying that.
included that.
I am too. I really loved it. And it wasn't perfect. The bath didn't feel as good as she thought it was going to. And it wasn't the thing she had built up in her mind. And it was uncomfortable. But there were all these beautiful moments that happened during the bath. And that's, life is messy, but death, oh my gosh, death can be messy too. But you gotta just, I don't know, you gotta open yourself up to all of it. And I'm so glad that I did that with her. And I'm so glad they included that in the show. It was really a important moment.
Well, I have one more question about that. So
Yeah.
because the death doula did impact me during, bringing in the death doula during Molly's journey, um, was a really powerful and beautiful choice, like I said. Can you share how maybe it changed or deepened the way that you move through the experience of letting go? Because I think letting go is one of the hardest
Mm,
things. For me, I know
for
that I have
sure.
attachments, and
Yeah.
I think most of us do.
Yeah.
So did that change the process for you at all?
Well, I think looking back when my dad passed away, I was 30 and it took him like 3 days, right, to really fully cross over. And cross over to what? I don't know. I'm like, I wish I could just like have a moment. Although there's people that have near death experiences, I'm like, and then they don't want to come back. They're like, well, I ain't going back there. I want to stay here. Um, my dad's passing really was like the foundation because I really was present during it, even though I was only 30, but I was there the whole time watching him and being with him during his last breath. And when I watched my mom kind of hover over my father's body, I could see that she was feeling something move through her and go through her. And so I was pretty open from a pretty young age of like, oh, I've been around death a little bit. I've watched one of the most important people to me die. And then not long after my uncle died of a heart attack at a family event that we had, and I was giving him CPR. So I felt his final breath kind of go into my face and in my mouth and through me. And my family always makes jokes and says, "You must not have been very good at CPR."
Oh my God. Well, hey, you can laugh about it now.
We always joke. In fact, at the passing of the anniversary of his passing was not that long ago. And my cousin, his daughter, who is like my sister, texted me and said, "Have you improved your CPR skills?"
Oh my God.
So I have this morbid sense of humor around death because of my family. So I had a little bit of a training ground with my family. And I loved my uncle so dearly. So, what I don't know if I've ever said this, but the worst part of my uncle passing was that when he did his final breath that goes, ah, and it's not followed by an inhale, I thought he was breathing.
Oh
So I
wow.
yell, "He's breathing."
No, you didn't.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but
I know. I go, "He's breathing." And by that time the paramedics had shown up and had shown up, and I was like, oh no, no, he's not. But therefore I didn't know that. Think about it. A breath comes in, a breath goes out, and then there's nothing else. There's no more participation in the inhale. I didn't know that. I'd never thought about that. So when I went to be present for Molly's passing, she and I had talked about it so much, and I had had all these experiences prior that I was like, oh, I know how to do this. And Molly and I just had really honest conversations. I mean, she specifically told me how she wanted to die, who she wanted in the room, and how she wanted it to look. Because I was like, give me your fantasy sequence. And that's exactly what happened.
oh,
So I do believe that you can have conversations like you asked me that can change the trajectory of how you feel about things and what you're open to. So, yes, that talking to death doulas, talking to nurses, talking about death has profoundly changed me and how I approach situations with people, whether it's life or death related. I know that's a long-winded answer, but
no.
I feel like that makes sense, right? Does it make
It
sense?
does.
Okay.
It does. Because I used to be well,
Deathly
hold on,
afraid of death?
deathly afraid of death.
Yeah, got it.
Um, I mean, I couldn't even talk about it. And now I feel like it's part of the cycle. It's gonna happen.
It
And
sucks.
now I just am at the place where I want to live. It's just, especially after
I
mom,
know.
just want to live fully,
Yeah.
unapologetically. I'm
Yeah.
not good, I'm not
I mean,
gonna.
listen, I'm still terrified too. I've dealt with it a lot, but I have to say, like, sometimes in the middle of the night when I wake up, I put my hand under my husband's nose to make sure he's breathing. Like, I'm still struck by the fear of losing someone near and dear to me. Like, I don't think that goes
Well,
away, but how
well,
present you can be if you are lucky enough to have the gift of being with someone as they're passing and having a walking home moment and a real goodbye. If you're lucky enough to get that, and it feels safe and good to you and the relationship feels good, I say just lean in like hard. Just get in there.
that was the other thing I do remember going
Yeah.
to the hospital, sitting down with my mom. She couldn't hear me at that point,
I bet she
but
could. I feel like
I actually I do think you're right.
I don't know.
I had this dream after she passed. I think it was close to a year after. She said she was okay.
She came to you and said, I'm okay.
She has a funny sense of humor. I do believe that there are a lot of things that happened to me that
Mm,
I know that she had a part in it. I
yeah,
don't whether you believe it or not, but I know. Like even the day I met Oprah, which was insane. Oprah's my idol.
right.
There was a woman there in the room with me talking, and she said, "Do you believe in angels?" I said, "Absolutely." She
Mm-hmm.
showed me her phone. It had 1111. And I was like,
Mom's
"Yeah,
here.
mom's here."
Mom's here.
I know.
I know. That's really cool.
So
I mean,
I've learned that
they do
they,
like physiologic. I don't know if that's the right word, but that they say hearing really is the last thing to go. It really is the last thing to go. And I feel like even if they're not audibly hearing you, there's a spiritual awakening and moment happening. Did you talk to her a lot when she was passing? You did. I'm so good. I'm so sorry your sweet mama's gone. I
But that's the
am.
thing though, she physically she's gone, but there's just things that happen to me and I'm like, "Mom, really? Seriously?" Like I feel her. Sometimes I'm brushing my teeth and I feel
Feel
something
her.
behind me.
That's so great.
Absolutely.
I
And I
love that
know
you're
people
so
don't believe that, but I do.
okay. They don't have to, but we can,
I
right?
don't care. I don't
Do you
care.
really care? And I find it to be so comforting, and I find it to be like, I mean, if you listen, you can choose to not believe that stuff, and that's fine too. But I think believing just kind of, I don't know,
It's
it's so
magic.
much more fun and
It
it's so
just
much more magical. You're right. You
it
nailed
is.
it.
It
Yeah.
is. So Molly would I have to go back to this one more time.
Yes.
Molly was so open about exploring kink and
Yes.
exploring pleasure.
Hmm.
I want to know.
Oh Lord, where's this going? I'm terrified.
Did anything make you curious? Because you're pretty straight laced. I mean, I'm not sure about that either, but I'll just put it out there.
Well, I
No
mean, listen.
judgment. Was there
Right.
anything you were like, ooh, maybe?
First of all, I love that you think I'm straight laced. It means my master
I
plan has
think
worked.
you're a freak in the bedroom, but that's a different story.
Right. You know, when I first started dating my husband like 16 years ago, we were yeah, we were it's been a long
Bless
time.
you.
We
Whoa.
were like teenagers. We could not get enough of each other. We were doing fun things like tying each other up and like dressing up and doing fun things. And then after you're with someone for a while, the sex sort of becomes more intimate and then it becomes just more loving. And then you could still be a freak every once in a while. But I have to say, I'm going to be real honest right now. Going through menopause is such a buzzkill.
Get that. Get
I'm
that.
like, is my vagina, is it even still there? Does
There's
so
patches. There's patches, creams.
I have the
Okay.
creams. I don't think it's working. But
Oh
what I
shoot.
love is that this is what's interesting. When you don't fill your life with sex, right? You have to find other ways, I mean, listen, we're still having a very
Connect.
fun, great sex life. We have to find other ways to be intimate and to connect. And I've really, really loved it. It's actually deepened our relationship and opened up our conversation around the shame of like, well, what happens when a guy's wiener stops working and a woman's vagina goes dry? Like, if you hide that from your partner, you're just hiding part of yourself. So, like, talk about it, be open, have conversations, find the right lube, use them together, experiment. Like,
That's
what was your
true.
question? I forgot. Oh, yeah. So everyone's like, "Oh, this must have ignited your sex life." I'm like, I was raising
Yes.
two step kids, having quiet sex in the bedroom while the
They're
kids were
gone
in the.
though.
They're gone now, but now I hit
They're like,
menopause,
I'm
so
so
now I'm like,
oh geez.
they're gone. The menopause hit, but listen, we're
That's
finding
a
our
different show, man. That's a different show.
right. You're like part two. But it is it at the love and the support that he has given me during all of this feels like the best orgasm ever.
Oh, oh, please don't. You're not one of those women who are gonna say, "Well, he washes the dishes. That alone gets me off." I'm like, okay,
No.
I
No,
don't know
you know
about
what
that.
he should be doing? Washing the dishes. You know what he should be doing? The
Without me
laundry.
asking.
100%. That's called being a partner. That's not, I love when women are like, my husband's at home babysitting the kids. I'm like, it's not babysitting. They're his children.
I hear that
It's called being a
taking care of
dad.
your
Yeah.
kids.
Don't even. But it's been really kind of nice. It's been really, really cool. And he loved Molly so much and was really a big part of encouraging me to be at the hospital, to leave home, leave the kids behind, not make the dinners, and go be with her. And I really, I really need to thank him for just giving me the freedom to just be a friend for like 3 straight months at the hospital nonstop. Yeah, it was really, really precious.
We have to make sure we thank him later.
Oh,
So,
I will. Don't you worry.
there
Is
you
that what you
go.
meant? Is that what
There
you
you
meant?
go. There you go.
Oh
There's
my
ways.
gosh.
So
Right?
wait. So what did you learn
Mhm.
about sex through Molly's experiences?
Ooh, this is good. I'm
Ooh.
so glad you asked me this. I always thought Molly always said, you know, it's funny when you watch porn. When does the porn end? It's when the guy comes. It's never based on the women's pleasure,
Not if you
ever.
watch Women on Women.
Well,
You
that's
get to
true.
see.
Yeah, 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 that's true. But like traditional cisgender, boring,
It's when the guy comes.
it's when the guy comes.
Oh,
It's
damn.
never like the woman has the orgasm and the man has, it's just sex. Guy has orgasm, it's over. That's what we were
I
raised.
never thought about it.
That's the porn, the old school porn. But now it's changing. And Molly showed me like sex is and it's a beautiful scene. Esco Goulet, who played Sonia, they had this beautiful monologue about sex being about energy and an exchange of energy. And I was
That's
like,
what I
that's
feel it is.
yeah. And I do too. So I think I learned, I really did learn that.
I actually think that sex is better when you have that exchange of energies because
Yeah.
physical sex, yeah, it could be good. No, I mean, fine.
Yeah.
But that exchange of energies, that's a
Kind of cool,
whole
right?
different
And it
thing.
doesn't mean you have to be in love. It could just mean you have a really good vibe with somebody and you're open to like, what do you want? What do I want? Let's have a conversation. It might be clunky and uncomfortable, but I also learned that sex doesn't have to be just like penetration. Sex can be like whatever you want it to be.
I
And so,
think
yeah, that's what I learned.
if you think sex is penetration, you need to go take a class or some shit because that's not what it is.
I would love
It's
to
just not.
sign up for that class.
It's just not. It's not. I mean,
No.
it's so much more like, oh, and that reminds me because
What?
this is one of the last questions. What does intimacy mean to you? I saw that reel.
Which one?
Uh,
Wait.
questions were being asked, and someone asked,
Oh, oh,
so I want to know, what does intimacy mean for you?
being able to be. This is going to be so cheesy.
Oh God, give me
Well,
real
it's
shit.
kind of gross. It's a little bit gross too.
Oh, that
When
makes it
you're
interesting.
able to be the ugliest, grossest version of yourself with the person that you love or the person that you're spending time with.
What do you mean, like vomiting over a
No,
toilet?
I
I don't
love
know
that
what
that's where you
I
go. Like you're drinking wine, you're like, you mean being hungover and vomiting?
Close to you, babe.
But here's the key, being your worst version of yourself and that person still thinking you're so cool and so beautiful. That to
That
me is intimacy.
that shit that you just said has a lot of layers. You might want to elaborate on that because people gonna
You
mistake
know,
that
when
for
you can
what?
like be like, you know, that
Fart
thing you do with people. Well, yeah, I mean, not only physically, but also like when you say the nasty things or the awful things about life or about how you're feeling and you feel gross and you feel ungrateful. And if you can like
and you're in
unleash,
menopause
yes, and you can
and you're
unleash
sweating.
the nasty parts of yourself, whether it's farting or just
And that's
verbally,
what
whatever.
intimacy is to you?
I'm not
Oh,
kidding.
damn. No, don't you
But
think that's like a
also,
little too much information?
no, I love it. And then I
I know.
love to make out. There is nothing, think about it. When you're with someone for a really long time, like
Okay.
making out doesn't really happen a
Sucks,
lot
right?
with
I
couples that have been together for a
know.
while. Like mouth on mouth, tongue
I
play,
know.
lips, like
That's intimacy to
that to me.
me.
So every once in a while, I'm like, we need to make out. My husband will stop what he's doing and come over and we'll just make out for
So
like
true.
10 seconds. And we're
Oh,
like, oh, because there's
oh,
something that happens when people kiss like that that is huge. So I
that
would
is so
say, try
true.
making out with your partner. Even like you can fart and burp and be
Ladies,
gross.
make out with your partners. And gents, make sure you put in
Yeah.
some make out time.
Making
That
out. I
is
like
so
so being your gross
true.
version of yourself and being nasty and being stupid and saying mean things and getting the ugly parts of yourself out and still feeling beautiful. That's intimacy. And then making out is so
I
hot.
I'm good. See, out of everything we talked about, the whole makeout session thing,
Okay,
I could
there.
get into it.
Yeah.
And I remember I was with someone for a really long time, and I said to him, I said, I don't want us to ever stop making out. Of course, we
Yeah.
broke up, but that's a
What
whole different show, kids.
right? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I
Whew.
don't want to, I really don't want to let you go right now. So
I love this. I love talking to you. I really do.
I love talking to you. You know that. So you've shared Molly with us,
Yeah.
and you know, I just feel like she's like this beautiful spirit,
Yeah.
even though she's not physically here. What do you think if Molly were here right now, she would yell into the mic?
Do it. Whatever it is, whatever scares you, do it. Do
Mhm.
it. Don't wait for a terminal diagnosis to go the places you want to go, to be with the people you want to be, to set the boundaries that you want to set. What are you waiting for? Like, honestly, what are you waiting
Mhm.
for? Just do it, whether it's sex, kinks, fetishes, travel, food, friends, your kids, whatever it is. Although, please look outside of your children for like some. Listen, I'm a childless woman. I tried to have a baby for a long time and now I'm on the other side of it. But let me tell you, like, please don't lose yourself in your partner. Don't lose yourself in your children. Like, stay connected to you. Your most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. And you can only meet other people as deeply as you're willing to meet yourself. So if you want better relationships, be better to yourself. Like, it's just, Joe Molly would just say, just do it. What are you waiting for?
I
What?
needed to hear this today. I
Okay.
really did.
I love that I can like say all this and then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, are you alive? Are you breathing? And I'm like putting my finger under my husband's nose and forcing him to make out with me. So yeah, I'm not the pillar of.
Oh, so one of the you're a nut, but you know I love you. So one of the things that I love to do towards the end, and
Yeah.
we're kind of winding down, is pull out
Okay.
my secret cards, never seen them, and ask you a question.
You are such a rebel. I love this.
You have no idea. Okay. Ooh,
Oh,
this is interesting. Okay.
okay. Weird. Weird.
Well,
Hmm.
it
Just
depends on your answer.
okay. Oh, Lord. Okay.
What is something you know really well?
Whoa. What is something I know really well?
Yeah. What?
Oh my God, this is the quietest I've ever been.
I know. Oh, 10 seconds.
Honestly, myself. I know
Ooh.
myself really
Oh, I
well.
love that answer. Oh my God, I love that answer.
I mean,
This is
really,
this
I
is the
do.
goal. This is the
I know
goal.
myself. I know my limitations. I know when my fuse is about to go. I know when I'm anxious. I know myself. And so what I choose to do with that, I'm still figuring out, but I really do know myself.
I love, see, I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, good.
All right. Well, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. I'm
I want to
s- I,
I want to look just like you. And
well,
I'm already listen. You are timeless. You are ageless. Your heart is, you said my heart was big, but your heart is bigger than your body. And how lucky to be your daughter. And what a lucky mom you had to have. Like, such a great mom you are, and such a great mom that you had. And you are such a beautiful representation of just like always waking up, putting one foot in front of the other, and just really trying to be a better version of yourself all the time. I see that in you, and that inspires me about you. And so thanks for being that for me. I see it all the time in you.
I love you. You
I
know I
love you
love you.
too.
So I like to end the podcast with some sort of wisdom, although you've shared so much. I'm going to ask you for a little bit more. What was the best piece of advice that Molly gave you that you'd like to leave us with today? Other than do it,
Yeah,
whatever that
do
is.
it. She was really great at protecting her magic and keeping herself, and she really practiced this the last 3 months of her life. Be really cautious and careful who you choose to give yourself to, and be and protect that sacred space of yourself, because like you don't have to do anything you don't want to, and you don't have to give yourself emotionally or physically to anyone you don't want to. And she got real clear with that. I watched her navigate her death and was very choosy because she said, it's really interesting. I don't know if she said this in the book or not or on the podcast, but she said it to me a lot because I kind of lose track of what is real life. But if I'm swimming in the ocean and I'm holding on to a buoy, right? I'm holding on because that's my life. No one can feel like a brick at the bottom of my ankle. Nobody. And if it starts to feel remotely like that, I need to reassess the relationship. And I think as women, we are taught to like be good to everyone, let everyone in. And then our cup is so empty. Like just keep your cup full and be really cautious of of protecting your magic. That's her advice. It always was her advice, but she really practiced it during the last 3 months of her life.
I can't believe I got through this episode
Ah!
without crying, but my eyes are watery. I
You're
love
just,
you.
I love you
Thank you.
too. Thank
Can
you for
you
supporting
wait?
me. Yes.
Always, girl. I have your back always. You know that.
Yeah,
Please share with our listeners how they find out about everything you're doing and everything dying for sex.
I love that. Okay. I'm at Nikki Boyer on Instagram and I love like communicating and connecting. So at NIKKIBOYER. And if you want to listen to the podcast, go wherever you get your podcasts and listen to Dying for Sex, the first 6 episodes. That's Molly. And then go watch the show, 8 episodes on Hulu or Disney Plus. It's called Dying for Sex as well. And then go back to the podcast because there's 3 episodes that I did that were behind the scenes that I did an interview with Michelle Williams. My showrunners, Jenny Slate, Jay Duplass, and Rob Delaney, spoke with me about their experience on the show. So after you watch, you can then listen to them talk about it, which was so magical and all about Molly. And then finally, like I Molly's book is she wrote it while she was dying. It was her dream to be a published author. She handed me her computer when she died. Well, not when she died, but before she Do you
Glad
imagine?
we could
She's
laugh
like,
about.
here you go. She handed me her computer and said, will you publish my book? So I did. I self-published it on Amazon. It's called Screw Cancer Becoming Whole. And it's sort of the love letter that she wrote to herself. It's a memoir that she wrote while she was passing away. And I'd love for everybody to read that. So yeah, that's those are all my things.
Thank you so much for joining me here today, for sharing your magic and all that wisdom and just all that life that you have inside you. You are truly like, you're amazing.
I adore you. Mwah. Thank you.
And thank you. And thank you, loves, for joining us on this episode of the AW Confidential Podcast. Talk to you soon.